No matter what the temperature of the real estate market, no matter what type of property you're searching for, fixer-upper, turnkey, or something in between, whether you're downsizing or upsizing, moving from the city to the country, or vice versa, no matter what, you need to hear from a professional first.
And I come to you for facts and truth.
I've been wanting to have a conversation with you for a very long time. This is awesome.
Before you do anything, listen to the Dan Gemus Real Estate Show, an advertising feature on AM800. Here's your host and broker owner, Dan Gemus.
Well, hope you're enjoying this beautiful Saturday afternoon, everyone. Great to have you along with us. I'm Dan Gemus, and in studio with me today, our sales reps, or a couple of our sales representatives, Madalita and Fadiel Dandachi. Hello to both of you.
Hello.
Hello. Great to have you both along for the ride today, with you till 1 o'clock. And we've got some great topics today. We're going to talk about some easiest cleaning resolutions you can make this year and how to keep them. That's the key. Now, nobody likes to clean. I shouldn't say that because I know a few people that love to clean. But for the most part, we don't love to clean.
Are we talking rage cleaning here?
Yeah.
Or
Whatever kind of cleaning you want, man. Whatever gets the job done, I guess, right? We're also going to talk about creating some healthy habits, right? I know, the New Year's upon us, and a lot of us have created some New Year's resolutions. And among them, one of the most popular resolutions every year is just being healthier and working out. So we're going to have a good friend of ours, Dean Shepley, who's a trainer, who's our trainer for Nick and I, and he's going to come on and tell us about creating some healthy habits later on this show. So we're excited about that, and just all kinds of fun stuff. So a jam-packed hour, as always. We're also going to give away our Richmond Popcorn Company gift card today. And the special keyword to text in to be entered automatically to win today is popcorn. Popcorn with your first and last name to 10800, and you're automatically entered to win the $50 gift card for the Richmond Popcorn Company today. They released some new flavors this weekend. Among them, cinnamon hearts, which taste just like those cinnamon hearts that you buy. And there is another one called I Love You Very Much, which is a mix of strawberry, caramel, corn, and chocolate.
Sounds amazing.
Yes.
My kids are addicted to Oreo and movie time. They're just
you can't go wrong with either one of them, right? Yeah. So they're all delicious. But there you go. So we'll give away that gift card later on in the show. But otherwise, a good week this past week, fellas.
Yes, very good week. Been a busy week.
A little chillier.
Yeah.
Weather's turning on us a little bit, which is okay. We can't complain. It's January.
I can't complain when you see the rest of Canada under snow.
Yes, you're right. I know.
I'm fine as long as there's some sunshine. Give me some sunshine. It can be cold.
That's gloomy.
Okay.
A couple of weeks ago, we did a trip with the kids over to Kalahari.
Oh yeah,
and that was fun. It was a good, just a couple days away, and it was those rainy days that we had here in Windsor, Essex. So we didn't miss much around here. We were indoors over at Kalahari and had a good time there, but just a couple days away, right? You don't realize how. I wish we could just take a boat across because it's right there, right across the water, which would make it much easier. But a couple-hour drive and a nice, easy getaway. But
we've yet to go. I've heard a lot of good things about it, though.
It's huge.
Yeah,
nice big water park. But Matt, you were away a few weeks ago, and you had a purposeful trip to kind of get get some sunshine.
Yeah,
didn't work out that way, did it?
Well, maybe not so much. The intent was to go away somewhere where we knew it was going to be warm, somewhere far down in Florida.
Yes.
And did our research. We ended up going to Key Largo. And
you drove out there.
We drove, yeah. We'll have family all the way. So
yes.
It's because it's 22 hours if you drive straight.
Oh.
So how many stops did you have?
We had 3 stops.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, we have family members, like I said, along the way. And so we stayed with them we were gone for like 2 weeks, but we stayed a couple days here and there, right?
Yeah.
And by the time we got down there, we just happened to pick the 1 week. We scheduled this, mind you, months in advance. We happened to, by chance, pick the 1 week where they got hit with the cold front. And they're like, this is unprecedented. They're talking about like iguanas falling out of trees. like we're laughing. And I thought it was a joke at first. They're like, beware of iguanas falling out of trees. I'm like, are you kidding me right now? But no, apparently it was a thing.
Wow.
But yeah, so we had it better than I guess everyone did here, perhaps.
Yeah, no kidding.
With the cold temperatures. But, you make the most of it. We still did some sightseeing, had fun with the kids. So
I feel like the weather we had a couple of weeks ago, when we had that big drop and the big freeze for a few days, for about a week. I feel like that was the coldest I've ever experienced here in Windsor, Essex. And, you know, my extended family's in Sudbury. We grew up in Sudbury. It gets cold up there. But I feel like the wind and the freezing just temperatures that we had that week was like the coldest.
Winter bones,
Yeah.
right?
What was
Hit
the
your
lowest
bones.
temperature?
I don't know. It was cold.
Was it like the
pretty cool.
negative 40 where Fahrenheit meets Celsius? kind of
It was
thing?
like one of those things where you just, like you said, right, it just gets into your bones and it was just freezing. And the wind was just blowing into the house like I've never experienced. And
So when you order in and you just stay home and you don't go anywhere.
yeah.
hunker down, right?
And I've noticed that, I'm not sure why this is, we should find out, but the water levels are super low right now in the waterways, the local waterways. You know, we back on to Big Creek and it's super low. I've never seen it so low there. We've got mud that we can see from the bottom of the creek.
wow.
So
Interesting.
I don't know what's happening there. I'm sure it's just cyclical and it'll come back, but you know, makes it hard to ice skate on the pond when
Does it
there's
freeze
no
over
water.
over here?
It does, yeah.
Yeah? Nice.
Yeah.
It's
We've had
sticking
one year so far that didn't freeze over for the most part. It was not frozen enough to skate on, but
So
typically
who decides it's frozen and it's safe?
That's a good question.
Nick and I do paper rock scissors for who's going to go on there and take a look.
So
but,
throw a rock, like,
exactly.
you know,
No,
save the
typically
cracks.
no.
So what you're saying is you usually draw the short straw.
That's right.
Nick's like, oh darn, I don't know what happened, Dan. You have to.
There was one year that she went on there with the kids, and I was like, why would you do that before I get out there and double check? But usually you have a good sense. If it's been cold long enough, it's pretty, and quite frankly, it's not that deep. So if you were to fall through, you'd just be knee deep in cold water.
Yeah.
So
Put some socks on.
with some socks on. But otherwise, hey, listen, I ran across this article this week. Tell me how crazy this is. The owners of a Toronto home who were out of town on a business trip discovered that someone had impersonated them and sold their property without their consent.
I read
Police
this.
allege. Investigators said in January of last year, 2 people allegedly pretended to be the homeowners and hired a real estate agent. Police told the news outlet the property is located in Etobicoke. The home was then listed for sale and sold to new homeowners who took possession.
Wow.
Police said the original homeowners were out of the country for business. Several months after the property was sold, investigators said the original homeowners discovered that their home was sold without their consent. Police have released a photo of a man and woman wanted on fraud charges and allegedly using fake identification to impersonate the real homeowners. Now,
Unbelievable.
really, I'm trying to think, how does that happen?
With
But-
the systems of checks and balances that are in place. and
Yeah,
there's a
if you have
thing-
fake IDs,
Yeah.
you know, like as realtors, we have to check ID of homeowners when we're selling a house. The lawyers have to check ID, but who knows how real this ID looked? It could have been, it could have been real in a very fraudulent ID that looked exactly like it should, and you wouldn't know otherwise. I guess. How do you?
So they must have known this couple was going to be out of the country a while to,
Well, they must
to
have.
plan this,
Oh,
right?
100%.
Yeah.
I feel like there was some kind of
100%.
episode of like Saved by the Bell or something
Yeah.
back in the 90s where like, you get your parents you hire fake parents.
Yeah.
It makes me think like that's what it's just completely comical in
meet
a
your
sense. It was-
principal.
yeah, it wasn't comical, I'm sure, for them. But
No,
man,
and there's
think
so
about
many
that,
questions. Like, I mean, the lawyer has to pay out the funds, and it's usually done by check, by certified checks. Then
Banks
how
are
did they get
involved,
away from cashing a check like that? I don't know. Unless it's done electronically using fake accounts. But how does that even happen? I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't have all the
It's not
details.
like you just
I
walk
just
into the
think-
gas station or like, I need to cash a check.
yeah.
It's a growing problem too. Like, even here in Windsor, we had the crypto scam and the other types of scams happening. I
Yes.
think criminals are finding very unique ways to make sure they get what they want, and it's growing. It's getting
100%.
bigger and bigger. It's not small things anymore. So I think we have to keep an eye out, regardless of where we live and where we are.
An article came out yesterday, or 2 days ago, saying it happened again. Second Toronto home listed for sale without homeowners' knowledge. So, like a recent case in Toronto, police are investigating Froster impersonated homeowner when Melissa Walsh's great uncle moved into a long-term care home in late 2021, just before his 95th birthday. Her family decided to rent out the East End Toronto home he's owned since 1970s. The idea was to help him pay for his expenses. The family had turned to a local brokerage where 2 real estate agents helped them find and screen tenants to rent the house located just off Queen Street. starting in December of 2021. That began a chain of events that Walsh describes as the ultimate real estate nightmare. The family later learned that tenants chosen had used fake identity documents and bogus references on their lease application, and Walsh said police eventually referred to them as ghosts after trying to locate them. What's more, just weeks after the lease agreement was signed, the family found out that someone posing as the 95-year-old homeowner had hired 2 different agents from another brokerage to list the house for sale without the family's knowledge or permission.
Wow.
The home was staged with furniture, advertised online for $1.29 million, and quickly generated a flurry of offers. One came in at $1.9 million. Wow. I can't even form words to describe that moment at that time because it's just so unbelievably out there, Walsh said. You're going, what's happened? What's going on? Walsh's family was able to put an end to the attempted scam before the house could fraudulently be sold, but the case bears a striking resemblance to an investigation of the police earlier that had found the other one that actually went through.
It really makes me wonder if there's, some out of country, there's some money laundering stuff happening there too, right? Some stuff happening, whether it's funds transferred overseas or whatnot, because that's pretty elaborate.
But it's also showing you, how many agents does Toronto have? 54, 59,000?
Oh, 60,000 agents.
60,000, yeah. So it's showing you nobody's doing due diligence. Nobody's,
I don't know by the sounds of these articles, though. It sounds like they're doing their job.
Yeah.
It's just people are being, are presenting fraudulent ID, and they're just not.
Criminals are getting better.
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
It's pretty scary. And how many scams are we, to me, I'm getting a phone call every other day from somebody scamming something. Fatty, I'm emailing you every day with some kind of scam.
Yeah, he's asking.
You text me directly and say
number.
you need gift cards. I'm like, Dan, after the last $500 worth of gift cards, like you're bleeding me dry here.
This started a couple of years ago, where our agents on our team would get texts from what they knew wasn't me, but from someone saying they're me, asking for gift cards.
I started getting
so. And it's funny because the text always start like, "Oh, hi, Fatty, it's Dan Gemus." Like,
I need your phone
number. I wouldn't say that
Please
exactly.
confirm.
So it's pretty obvious to our agents, and I don't know anybody else that that knows me that has received these messages. Just our agents.
Yeah.
So they must have scraped the phone numbers from the website somewhere.
Of course, I think every single realtor too in our area gets them. Like I know my previous brokerage, I was getting them as well, and they pose as one of the brokers or whatever. But
and our numbers are easier to find. They're online everywhere.
So here's a question.
Yeah.
Isn't there this global or national Canadian do not call list?
Well, I'm not sure what happened to that because I'm getting more and more calls now. It stopped for 6 months, and then
problem is these guys are spoofing phone
Well,
numbers,
sure.
right? So they're using phone numbers.
How do you find them?
that look local, but they're calling from
Because
somewhere
if you
else.
call the number back, a lot of times somebody will go, "No, I didn't." Like they'll
wasn't
have
me.
no idea what's happening.
Yep.
Yeah. So
Scary.
It is.
Okay, we are going to take a break. We're going to come back and talk a few other things. Among them, later on in the show, we're talking to our friend Dean Shepley. He's our specific workout trainer. Thank you. I'm trying to find the word. Matt, see my panic on my face.
you've really been working
What's
out
happening?
hard lately,
I know.
Dan.
Been working out super hard. Our trainer, and he's going to talk about creating some healthy habits this year. Later on in the show, we'll talk about some the easiest cleaning resolutions you can make in 2023 and how to keep them. That's the key. Is keeping these resolutions, right? So that and lots more. Don't forget to enter to win our contest today to win a $50 gift card for the Richmond Popcorn Company out in Amherstburg. You can text right now. Popcorn is the special keyword to text in today with your first and last name to 10800, and you're automatically entered to win the gift card later on in the show. And so we'll talk about that and lots more to come right here on the Dan Gemus Real Estate Show.
Buying a home, it's likely the most money you will ever spend at one time. Make sure you have a real estate team you can trust on your side, helping you every step of the way. Welcome back to the Dan Gemus Real Estate Show with one of the most trusted realtors in Windsor, Essex, Dan Gemus.
Okay, welcome back. Thank you for joining us. With you till 1 o'clock today and back with you from noon to 1 tomorrow. And in studio with me, as always, we have Matt Alida and Fatty El Dondachi. And we're talking some interesting stuff today. And before the break, we were talking about scams and, fraudulent things. And, on the break, Fatty, you started mentioning that you've had a personal experience that Matt or I had never heard about. I said, wait, stop talking. I want to hear about it on the show. So share with the audience what happened.
Yeah, definitely. So it's actually happened to my mom
Yeah.
a few years ago, probably 7-8 years ago.
Right.
It was a scam online where you meet someone and they tell you all the good stuff and they start a relationship with you. And they send you somewhere and they make excuses never to meet.
Always
they
something
build that
going on.
trust
Yes.
that they have a loved one in a hospital so they can't go anywhere. Eventually you get to a point after months of talking and falling in love with a person that you trust them. We have a bank account that we can access. They actually send her to Spain to actually physically see an account
Like
that had
send
money
her
in
to
it.
Spain, like to travel to Spain?
Yeah, so she went to Spain.
Like they paid
On a
for
trip.
her trip
Yes,
to Spain?
yes. So they went on a trip to show this bank account that is a ghost bank account with a dead person with millions of dollars in it. Oh, we need this much to access it. So she thought that this is proof. This is somebody I trust.
So she travels to Spain
Yes.
on
She
their
goes
dime.
to-
They paid for this.
Yeah.
Like this, so they have funds. They're obviously.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they're very
people off.
sophisticated.
So she travels to Spain, goes to the bank, and sees his bank account.
That can be accessed eventually.
Sure.
And she thinks they can access it.
Okay.
So long story short, she was scammed for a little bit over $200,000.
You're kidding.
She got half of it back at some point with the FBI getting involved. And
Wow.
It was very sophisticated. It's very touching at the same time because you never think someone educated, someone someone who's traveled would fall for something
Sure.
like this.
Yeah,
but
sure.
they are so aggressive after people that
Yep.
they just attack and they just keep going.
And
It's
like
a
you
numbers
said,
game
they
for them.
spend months building a relationship,
Yes,
right?
They put time and effort. It was
Yeah.
very sophisticated. They caught 2 people, I believe, in the U.S. that were connected.
Wow.
They were in
That's
Nigeria.
big money.
that
That's
originally
crazy.
The scam, yeah.
Isn't that something?
We've seen, when I previously worked, my
Retail,
previous
yeah.
job when I worked retail management, the store that I was at, it kind of reminds me of that. It sounds sort of similar. We would have people coming in all the time because a lot of the times, especially older ones would get phone calls of you owe money to the CRA or
Sure.
whatever, and they would tell you could pay in gift cards,
Sure.
Apple gift cards or whatever, right? It's a funny thing, right? But again, like you said, that they're using the intimidation factor
Sure.
in that sense, and we, myself and my team at that point in time, knowing about these things, because if they're telling you to go buy Steam gift cards, which is for online gaming, and you've got an 85-year-old woman coming in to buy Steam gift
Yeah.
cards,
That's a red flag, yeah.
that's probably a red flag, especially buying $500. So first question there would generally be, are you buying this for one of your grandchildren or whatever? And oh no, and then if they couldn't really explain, then that's where we sort of step in. Similar thing of somebody came in one time and the lady had said that she was buying, I think it was Steam gift cards or another form of gift card. And I guess someone online had connected with her, I think on Facebook, and they gave her a sort of a sob story, and they were active duty military, and their kid was, this was during COVID too. Their child was with a nanny in the country, and then the nanny got sick with COVID, and then I'm in the military, so my bank account's frozen right now, and blah blah blah. And so this lady was actually coming in to buy something because they said, if you buy this for me, I can cash it in and whatnot. And I said, and even like saying people started relationships the same way.
Yeah.
And I would always ask, don't want to intrude here, but have you met this person,
Yeah.
like physically met them?
Yeah.
And no,
Of course.
I
The
haven't.
answer's no.
It's just
yeah.
a numbers game.
It's sad.
They
And
call
they'll
calls.
use current events.
Yeah.
What's happening in the news right now. They'll use that. Against. Wow, that's scary.
And then they
that's
send
scary.
you something because you trust them, and you click
Exactly.
the link, and now they have access to everything you have on your PC and all your information,
Yep.
right? So it gets pretty detailed.
And in your mom's scenario, she must have just been heartbroken, and it's got to be
She was devastated.
devastating for sure, right?
Devastated because
You
she
know-
thought she was serious with someone.
Yeah. Oh, man, oh man. And we talk about oftentimes on this show the real estate scams that happen locally. We had one on our team. This is going back 5-6 years ago, but Kathy Talbot, our sales rep on our team, was doing a final walkthrough on a property with some buyers. They were closing the next day on the property, and there's a knock on the front door as they're doing the walkthrough. And Kath goes to the door and says, "Oh, hi, I'm just coming to move in. Are you the landlord?" Kath is like, "I'm sorry. Like, what do you mean moving in?" She's like, "Well, I got the moving truck here. I'm moving my stuff in. I'm renting the place. She's like, no, you're not. She says, my clients just bought the property. They're moving in tomorrow. So it turns out that, again, a tenant had put a full first and last month deposit down, sight unseen on the property because they were so desperate to find something. Didn't bother seeing the property, just sent somebody money online to guarantee that they got that property locked up and go to move in. And next thing you know, they find out they've been scammed.
I'm sure it
and
still
so
happens.
she was, I'm sure it still happens, right? And they'll steal photos online from our websites or from, realtor.ca and just post these fake photos. And next thing you know, again, how do you know? You don't. Right? So it's just a matter of doing as much due diligence as you possibly can and protecting yourself. But like you said, Matt, if you have a loved one that's going to purchase these gift cards, ask them, try and ask a few more questions. But oftentimes it's elderly that are by themselves. Their family isn't necessarily around, and they prey on this, right? They know that that's going to be the case, and they have a bleeding heart, and it's very, very scary. So there you go. Okay, we're going to take a break here for the bottom of the hour. A reminder, if you want a chance to win the Richmond Popcorn Company gift card today, you want to text in right now for your chance to win. Text in to 10800 with the keyword popcorn and your first and last name, and will automatically be entered to win the contest today. We'll give that away in the next half hour. When we come back, we're talking about the easiest cleaning resolutions you can make in 2023 and how to keep them. Okay, that and lots more to come right here on the Dan Gemus Real Estate Show.